Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Vivian from ThePaperLetterBlog. I also call myself the Chatty Pen Pal channel, and today I have a super duper fun project for you. Or at least I hope so. This is the third time filming this introduction, but I wasn't happy. I'm just gonna get straight into it. First things first, I have a lovely tea because it's bloody cold in here. And first of all, I grabbed this from the trash because, like I said, I already filmed this 2 times. We're having this tea today, white as snow in a mug. It's a white winter tea with cinnamon and apple. I forgot who sent me this, but thank you. It sounds really amazing and it smells amazing too. Over on Patreon, we always have the Craft Club challenge. Once a month I upload a video. Normally it's a challenge. This month it's a theme. So the challenge is the theme. The theme, you might have guessed it, is travel. So my Patreons can take that any way they like. But when I think of travel, I think of world maps, and especially these beautiful vintage type world maps. So I did a whole lot of pinning. I kind of rediscovered Pinterest. I think Pinterest is kind of out, but really there's a lot of great ideas on there. So I pinned a whole lot of things, including these free map printables. So remind me to put that in the description down below so you guys can also find these. There's a ton of them. There's different colored ones. You have more green or more blue, but I really like this one because it's kind of pastel-like and it looks very vintage. So yes, this is actually a free printable. I printed that on some printable vellum paper. The brand is called Crafter's Companion if you want to know, and I got this off of CraftStash. We'll try and find it and link it down below if I can. It's over on Instagram. There's this account called My Sweet Creative Life. Again, remind me if I haven't tagged it downstairs, what am I saying? If I haven't tagged it in the description, do remind me because I want to give her credit. So I saw this Instagram post by My Sweet Creative Life back in May, and I think she made a shaker front folder something, but I thought I'm not gonna make a shaker. I can replace her shaker with vellum. So I actually wrote that down, and I'm gonna give it my own spin. So I got the idea from My Sweet Creative Life. I think she also had her idea from someone else. Doesn't really matter. I did want to mention that is where I got the original idea. Before I forget, this video will be 2 parts. The first part is this. You're already there, congratulations. It's this chatty introduction and real-time tutorial, and the second part will be a sped up process video. So what I'm going to use, but it doesn't mean that you have to use the same, just use whatever you have laying around, is I'm going to use some cardstock for the base. We're going to cover that up with some pretty paper. And I'm going to use some pretty paper, and then I'm going to use some vintage paper for the pockets. So the first thing we're going to do is decide how big we are going to make this flip book. So I'm just using my paper trimmer to, I cannot cut that with the paper trimmer, it's too thick. I'm just using it to make a dent so that I can cut that later, if that makes sense. I'm going to make mine 4 inches by 7 inches. I have sort of butchered that if you watched me closely, but that's okay because we're actually going to cover this up with paper. So I get off easy here. So we have our back. Mine is very thick because I want it to be sturdy. If you don't really care about it being super duper sturdy, you can just use regular cardstock. This was just for me an excuse to finally use some of that cardstock because it's actually bookbinding cardstock. I purchased it because I thought I could turn it into die cuts, but it's too thick. And now I just need 2 pieces of paper to cover that up. And then we grab our paper trimmer again, or you can use a ruler and scissors, really it doesn't matter. What we're going to do now is we're going to grab a piece of paper that is slightly bigger than our cardstock. So I'm just gonna eyeball this. Feel free to make it precise. But again, the good thing about this is that it doesn't really matter. And then we're also already going to cut our inside paper. I chose, this is something I wouldn't normally do, but I chose a wood grain background. I thought maybe that's cool. This one has to be the same size as our paper. You can cut it a little bit bigger because you can always trim it nicely if you like. Let's just go to 7 inches and a little centimeter extra. And how wide was it again? 4. So let's say we take 4.5, just in case we accidentally glue it down sloppy, which is something I have done in the past. This is super simple. So what we're going to do is we are going to just glue this down. I don't actually think we have to glue it all the way down. Just glue it down a little bit. Yeah, believe it or not, I actually watch bookbinding tutorials sometimes. I don't know, I never bind any books, but they're just really relaxing to watch. Okay, there we go. Just keep it there. So we have this glued together. We're going to grab, if you also watch bookbinding tutorials, you already know this, but you're just going to cut off a triangle, leave a little bit of room near the corner, just so that you don't accidentally expose the corner. So I would say like that. Show you up close. See, so I didn't cut it all the way to the corner because that would have exposed the corner. We don't want that. Probably make them a little bit bigger if your cardstock is as thick as mine is. Just fold this, make it nice and tight. Okay, and then glue down these flaps. Again, if I made them a little bit bigger, this would have been easier, but I didn't realize that until now. I'm just going to use some tacky glue and some tape, I guess, because we're of course going to use this flap to cover up the back side, or the front in this case, so you won't actually see that anymore. Okay, so I've let it dry for a little bit. As you can see, I glued it down first and then I reinforced it with some tape because of course it wouldn't stay in place. And now all I'm going to do is glue this on here. Of course, I realized after that it doesn't really matter which way is the front, which way is the back. You could also use this as the place where the goodies are going to go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make the little flaps like so ish. Although I like this middle part so much, I think I want to cut it up and use the middle somehow. So I'll figure that out. Okay, over to the voiceover. I really hope you enjoyed that tutorial, or if you skipped the tutorial, welcome back. You can of course easily skip that because it's not too hard. But I've been wanting to try doing real-time tutorials again, and yeah, you know, try different things for my videos. So many of my videos will have the voiceovers and the sped up version, and then I want to try and do a couple videos every now and then where it will be a real-time tutorial. So please let me know if you enjoy that. I do, although it's a pain to edit because you have to cut the whole time and then speed up and then cut and then speed up, and it's a lot more work than it sounds, because when I do the voiceover videos, I can just speed everything up and do a voiceover in one go. But you know, if you guys enjoy it, then I'm happy to do it. And I'm happy to just learn and try different things as well. So there's that. If you're here for the decorating, then we're almost there. I'm just cutting the vellum pieces to size. I have decided to do them to make them a little bit overlapping so that the folder closes nicely, but you can of course also make them meet in the middle, if you will. And if you're here for the giveaway winner only, that will be at the end of the video. So I'm going to do those chapters, so you can just click there if you want to. We did a giveaway last week, Friday, on my birthday, and yeah, I picked a winner. I picked 2 winners actually, because the first one didn't meet the requirements, sadly. I'm sorry I don't seem to have the measurements for the pockets, but I did this mainly by eye, if you will. I just looked at the pieces of paper that I had laying around and what I could do with them. As you can see, I alternated between the music note paper and the vintage paper, simply because I liked that combination, and then because I thought they would look nice on the background. And then the next thing I'm going to do is use a little bit of Distress Oxide to color the outside of the pocket. Even though you're not going to see too much of that, I still think it looks kind of fun. And then I'm of course putting glue only on the sides so that the pockets are still intact. Yeah. And I am very proud of myself because of course I was working on the vellum first, and then I realized that it would probably be easier to glue down the pocket first instead of the vellum, because that just made my process a whole lot easier. I'm proud of myself because I usually think of those things after I glued something down. I'm like, oh crap, I should have done this first or that first. So I definitely recommend making the pockets first, simply because you have a lot more wiggle room. And then if you're going to use vellum like me, keep in mind that vellum kind of has a mind of its own. Like, I wanted it to lay flat and it wouldn't, it kept opening, and then when I wanted to work on the inside I wanted them to open and they kept closing. So might have been even easier to first decorate all of the pockets, do all of the goodies, and then do the vellum as absolute last. When I worked on this and when I finished this, I kept putting it underneath a heavy book. I also closed the flaps with clothespins, simply to keep it in place. But no matter how long I left it under a heavy book, they just kept opening. So in the end, I'm going to wrap it with some red twine, which I think looks kind of fun. Then we're going to start with the goodies. I hope this gives you some ideas as well. I sometimes struggle with what to include in folders or in goodies, so I sometimes make little lists for myself, but with this one it actually came together quite easily. The front pocket I already knew was going to be a really low pocket so that I could display some stamps in there. So I have a whole collection of either vintage or recent, at least used stamps that I either collected myself or received in mail, and I really liked the idea of them like kind of peeking above the pocket, if you will. And then I'm also going to decorate the rest of the pocket. I wanted to keep both the pockets as well as the decoration very flat, so I decided to go with decorating with stamps, wooden stamps, and some washi tape. And I think in the end, even though I only used very few materials, it looks really, really fun. So I'm going to try and do that more often. I would definitely recommend keeping them a little bit, or the decorations at least a little bit flat, so that when you close everything it still looks nice and not wobbly something. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I'm still feeling a little bit under the weather. Like, I'm not super sick. I went out for a mailbox walk and I'm up and out of bed, so I'm not like dying of sickness, but my brain is just very fuzzy. So I find it hard to make normal sentences. So yeah. And what I'm doing here, by the way, is I'm showing you some vintage, or I don't know if they're vintage, but just like encyclopedia type books. A lot of times when I include images from these, people ask me like, how do you get them? What do you do with them? And these are simply, like I said, in encyclopedia books about plants and birds and nature that I found in thrift stores. Not a lot of people use these anymore, so they're quite often a steal. Like, they're a couple euros. I found some of them for 50 cents, and what I like to do with them is cut all of the images out carefully and then either use them for decorating or use them to include as goodies, because you can glue them on envelopes, on projects. They're absolutely gorgeous for collaging, and I think they're very, very fun. So that's what I do with them, and I just showed you the books, and then I did the actual cutting off camera. I have to admit, with the current lockdown, not working, not seeing my friends, not seeing my family, I've been feeling quite lonely. So what I did, because my boyfriend actually works from home, but because he's working in the attic, I don't see him very often. So what I did is I just grabbed a little box You saw that just there. It's a used shipping box. I filled that with pretty pages, grabbed my scissors and my books, and then I just went upstairs to sit in his home office. So I just sat on a chair for hours listening to music or not listening to anything, or just watching Netflix while fussy cutting all of these images. And that was nice. I want to do that today again, I think, because like he's working, so it's not like we're talking the whole time, but it's nice to feel a little bit less lonely. I've also been having like video calls with my friends, or like voice messages with, for example, my cousin, and that helps as well. Yesterday I did a live stream for Patreon. Of course it's a little bit different because I am talking and people in my Patreon are replying by chat, but it's still nice, you know, especially in this kind of lonely, sad time. It's just nice to be able to keep in touch with people through messages. So I wanted to share that. What I've been doing in the background is I've been creating more goodies. I have a whole lot of goodies to give. I have like drawers filled with stickers and labels and die cuts, but sometimes I like to make my own. So what I've been doing is I've been stamping all of these frames and stamps even, and like floral images, and I cut them out again and I included them in this mill. And the reason why I did that is because I had these beautiful vintage book pages that I tore or cut the images, the illustrations from, and then I was left with beautiful empty pages, and I decided that I wanted to do something with them. I also decided that I needed more flat goodies, so that's why I used more pages, because for example stickers or die cuts, they're usually a little bit thicker, and I wanted a bigger variety of things to include. So that box, that's the shipping box I was talking about. Like I said, I sat there fussy cutting for hours, not all on one day, because your thumb actually starts to hurt from holding the scissors after a little while, but I spent hours. So I'm including some of the vintage illustrations. Don't worry, you're getting a slower close-up soon. In there, multiple varieties of like flowers and plants and birds. I don't remember exactly, but just they were like peeking out at the background, and I really liked the way that looked. And then, as I said, I'm wrapping up that flipbook pocket thing. How would you call this? Please help me. I need a name. With some baker's twine that I actually got in the supermarket, because you can also use it for cooking. Baker's twine and a little label. And on the label I simply wrote "Explore," because that's like all I know from travel themed something. So this is another entry for my Patreon Craft Club challenge. Here's a little close-up clip that I actually filmed today, because although I filmed this a long time ago, I was very on time with my Craft Club videos this time. I still haven't sent it out. I'm just looking at it. I really like it. So I hope you guys like it as well. I hope this gives you some inspiration. After this, you're going to get the giveaway winner video, so I will leave you over to that. But if you enjoyed this, please consider following me on Instagram, Pinterest, of course YouTube. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Over to the giveaway. Okay, last Friday I did a little giveaway in this video, the pastel color 2-pocket flipbook. We did a little giveaway. All you had to do was comment your favorite tea or favorite something, as mentioned in the video, and we have a lot of comments. So I used this website called commentpicker.com, loaded all of the entries, filtered duplicates, because of course you can only enter once, 56 comments, and we drew a winner that doesn't actually meet the giveaway requirements, because you were supposed to mention one of your favorites. So I'm guessing this one doesn't join, so we're going to pick another winner, and hopefully this time. Beautiful flipbook. My favorite fruit is blackberries, and my favorite tea is lemon ginger. So this one does meet the requirements. So Elizabeth, if you see this, congratulations, you are the giveaway winner. Please DM me on Instagram or send me an email with your information, and I will send the giveaway out to you as soon as possible. And then of course we also have the Patreon winner, but I will do that over on Patreon.